Okay. I'm just gonna. Actually, I'll just do it over here quickly. What is that? Right. Okay. Just gonna type this over here. Um, then kind of want to wait till there's somebody watching, and there is. So I just I'm using the same tab I was just on, and you left, whatever. Um, it'd be on here too, I suppose. I'm just going to wait till there's somebody here. And anybody that sees this after the fact, let's not presume anything. Let's hear me out, please. Because, yeah, I think that I felt the need to do this video. It's kind of an interesting look, it's true, which might make people curious. I just didn't want to put this right on the microwave, on top of the microwave, as I sometimes do, because I am planning to use it. And it probably won't get that warm in 2 or 3 minutes, but it's a very podcasty day. I guess if it's doing really well, maybe we'll bring him in to do some stuff, but he's doing something else. If you're going to have some of the routines that he had, then he'd be more able to do earlier podcasts on the weekend. Keep saying he wants to do. Yeah, it was also the microwave raves, although technically it's not that far from almost broke up today. Thankfully I didn't, because it's shared. Probably wouldn't want to come in and see me balancing it on the stove in the coffee maker, but that seems to make sense right now. So right back. Which happened earlier today too, ironically. Okay, if you're actually laying there, then maybe I will. I am heating up my coffee, but maybe this time I actually will go out the screen. I mean, when I do the long ones, it's gonna happen. Here and there. Oh, it looks like I don't have anything from last night, so I'm gonna have to make fresh. Where are my shoes? I am ready because I'm looking for my sandals. Possible 4 or longer, who knows? So that's right. I did add to that, right? Yes, I should add some sugar too. I can put this back here now. I really do think it's a better spot for it. More stable and just better. I'm just gonna wait till at least somebody here, because yeah, there's after the fact people that might see this. And you can skip ahead to the content. Maybe I'll try and put timestamp. It probably doesn't want to for a reason, but I both have a question and I just have something I feel people should hear. Again, if you're seeing this after it's posted, which I guess you are since nobody's watching at the moment, haven't been rolling that long, but don't presume anything. It may or may not seem like I'm about to once I start speaking about the thing. But, and I will just say this, that sometimes we just have to know when to not associate, on both sides of a connection or a contact. But I think you'll know. You'll be able to tell when that's the case. So I hope somebody tunes in soon. Okay, perfect. So the purpose of this video, let me just put this back in the fridge here. The purpose of this video, I feel you left. Whatever. They didn't even stay long enough for me to put something in the fridge. You know what? But again, it's very, very true that maybe the person's phone died or device. Maybe somebody came into the room and distracted them. Who knows what it is, May not be personal. I wouldn't see why it would be. So I'm both a little bit disappointed about something, and yeah, and it isn't something that I talk about very much on here, but the dog is just kind of standing at my feet, and he was laying down, but he's back standing at my feet. Maybe I will go. I think it's a bit early though. Even if it's cold out, I think after he does his thing, he wasn't getting a bit. I don't think I'm certainly not eager for another thing, but that's what we have, and that's what I make well. Although that's the second time now recently that I heard of the cucumber hummus mixture, so I might have to try that. I hate to just be waiting quietly. I'd put the music on, but I am a little bit worried about YouTube copywriting it, or which it just means that the video can't be monetized, it seems like these days, but it also might mean that they get royalties from it. And people that do music are already rich. Plus, if it's the radio, which it likely would be, it may say other details, which, not music stuff, which I don't really feel like I necessarily want to put out there. 6:20. Okay. Not 4:20. But it is a bit awkward just, actually what I'm going to do is put this one in there. Or, I don't know. It's a bit awkward that, sorry, I'll stop moving around a moment. Things are kind of quiet. Or if I'm just waiting for people to tune in, then things are, then, it's quiet while I wait. And, I'm eager to state this, It was interesting. I got the thing about the family thing going on off my chest in a video. And I was going to go do something relaxing, but there was two other things, one of which I've looked into a bit further. Kind of happy I did, actually. Not because of the uncertainty I initially started off with, but in the other one, I haven't yet. But hopefully it won't have a similar result. Person seemed quite nice, but I don't know. I feel, I want people to know that come across my channel that I am pretty consistent with my personality. Do I have struggles? Do I have things that I'm dealing with, I don't know how to put it. In my journey to find wellness, yeah, but I'm pretty consistently relaxed and friendly and maybe a little goofy at times, but that does not necessarily mean not relaxed. Maybe I'm a little bit, it's a sense of humor, and then I bring in the music to it and all this and that. In fact, there might be a very good reason why things are a little bit slow at this point in time. I can hope, but otherwise it would be just the same as trying to harder than trying to find like connecting digitally with a loved one into the province, which by just posting when we're able, and hopefully that getting to her, reaching her, the best we can do. But I kind of already did say, and luckily I either get nice people or just quiet people. Some people seem to kind of just be there watching but not saying anything, and that's a little bit awkward, I find, but also kind of nice, I suppose. But yeah, basically, I don't get the haters, and I think I'm pretty likable, so why would I? There's always going to be some people that like to try and stir things up with others, but I think what makes a lot more sense, it's a lot less stressful, it's a lot more pleasant, is just to, if there's someone that you don't feel like you gel with, and you want to go with your initial impression, it isn't always right, but sometimes it is. Maybe somewhat often it is, I don't know. Then just don't associate. No, don't associate. But I don't know what to do here. I kind of have one song that keeps popping up in my mind, but I'm otherwise feeling very relaxed, and I wasn't really planning to do a video, but I felt like I should. And I know I've looked up something before. I'm not really sure if I found out. I'm not really sure. Well, that may have been chaptering, but no, I think it was the other thing too. And it seems to be depending on the device that you use, and I'm not sure what else. But so I will stop beating around the bush in just a moment here. I really would love it if somebody tuned in to hear this, though, while it's live. And in fact, there's some irony, or there's some, I don't know what you call it, in who I hope it might be. Whoops. Nicely done. But, yeah, that's just water if you want to. You probably won't get all of it, but, yeah, I mean, I feel like, reaching goals and figuring things out in life sometimes goes slow enough. I really don't want to slow the pace down too much longer here. So, with the knowledge that people might see this afterwards, including someone I'm about to mention, again, just don't associate. It's not, the drama really isn't worth it. It really isn't worth it. And doesn't really make you look good if you're stirring it up either, to be quite honest. But why I am doing this video is because the other day, I was showing somebody on here who, let's just say, I don't want to say spoke to my weaknesses. Let's just say I was curious about. his vibe, his personality, and so I caught him at the end of his live stream the other day, and I commented it, and it was just 2 or 3, and the very bottom one, or in the first one, seriously, give me some other opportunities to join the podcast, but right now I'm getting something off my chest and probably not going to roll on. Anywho, it was like 4 or 5 lines. He jumped right to the last part, which, was asking what he was struggling with. Hear me out. If you see this, please hear me out. If you see this Trey. Sorry. I don't know why I said tree. Must have been because there was another word in my head as well. Anywho, and so I thought that was kind of interesting, and said struggling with food, but he works, and I thought, well, right on, his employee is open-minded about his style, unless it's different when he's not at work or when he's at work. This person was nothing but nice to. It's interesting because he's got his music to stop. Sorry, I forgot something out there. He got his music to stop to address my one curious question. And I mean, if you do see this, I'd be very curious to know what set you off, although it doesn't seem like it was just me, to be honest. Because he pretty much, to my memory, what he did in his live stream. I mean, he had people of all ages, and people can say, "Oh, the stuff that you're talking about here, for anybody who's underage, that happens upon it." But I mean, that's nothing compared to some of the stuff on there. And again, I wasn't hating his content. I really, the opposite in some ways, and there may have been a little uncertainty as somebody that I'm not familiar with, but I certainly was not being rude. It's actually not my style, and neither is really coming and, for lack of a different word, but this feels a little strong, a bit of a strong word to use, blasting somebody. It's really not my style. If I have something to say to somebody, I usually will say it to them, and I try and be kind, and I try not to and normally there's not even really anything really, negative really to talk about or whatever. But this guy, one of the things that he did was he told me and others, for reasons, like I say, I don't think were justified or, made sense to me. It occurred to me he wasn't just having a lot of fun and being a free spirit. He may have had some other things going on. And basically, he said he was going to, I thought he said deport, but maybe he said report. And then I think he said, even though he was a religious man, or at least, followed God, I thought he said something about pretending to be like Trump. And he said something else. But then he says, okay, for the next, then it was a short time frame, but, would have been better to say for the next 5 minutes, if, only people that use, I don't know. Yeah, this is how it would have been better to say. For the next 5 minutes, only people that are on the super chat, and I don't even know how you do that. And somebody else who I think was a minor said that they had no money after the fact, of course, but I didn't know my chat, but said if, for the next 5 minutes, only messages from super chat. And I did kind of look at that the other day, as far as like kind of toggling a little bit, but I'm the all messages option seems to be the best one. I would assume that includes that. But anywho, And he says anybody else that comments, he's going to remove them and report them or this and that. So yeah, I unsubscribed from that channel, and I'll tell you what it is. Actually, you know, you know, if he has people that like his energy to the capacity that he was delivering it, including saying these things, that's up to them. But if what I've tried to say about this individual does not sound appealing, if you know how to block, and this is something I don't know, if Trey sees this and you know how, and I caught it when I said it right the first time, and I definitely know the name Trey. If you see this and you know how, go ahead and just do it. There's no need. I'm sure you're busy enough with your work and your channel and whatever else that you don't really need to, be causing any problems for anybody. Um, and if you're not, because I did remember that you said in one of your videos that, aside from the channel and work, that you didn't feel like you had a lot of hobbies, how about find some? I was actually going to offer to teach you to play a musical instrument if you had interest. Anyway, Trey Jones TV. Maybe that's why, but I wasn't looking at it at the time. And specifically, it says, let's yap. And I think that would stand out. Again, I really don't like saying unfavorable things about people, but some people make that hard not to, right? And and I almost thought I maybe figured out a way. So yeah, I'm just gonna move on. Hopefully he will too. If he sees this out of curiosity. But you know what? If he simply searches GNC, and it seems like the handle shows different depending. I was hoping he'd show up live because I know how to block someone in the chat. Not necessarily because of mine. I mostly have the people that I get along with on here, or it's quiet. But then it doesn't always show afterwards like it should. But anyway, but in other people's sometimes, I see it there. I see the feature there. I otherwise don't know how to. But Trey Jones TV. I feel like one of his comments came in with the other handle though. But yeah, I just thought that it was quite rude, especially to someone who was being nice to him, and he had started out nice, and he had said, I start out nice and I stay nice, and that's what I do. I just avoid it. If somebody I don't like their energy or whatever, I might try and address it. Other than that, I just avoid it. Like, I mean, maybe it's because I'm older, a little bit, but but yeah, basically, so I just thought people might like to know about that particular person. They are still a person. They are. But and I think that they're doing some good on their channel. I really do. But yeah, that was not cool what he did. He just seemed to like snap so quickly. I don't even know how he read the comment that quickly. Like, it just seemed like maybe he had something in his mind, or maybe he tells himself, I don't like comments that start out with, or if somebody comments, a certain pace, or I'm not going to sit and try and understand what somebody's saying. If I think they're saying this, then they probably are, and I'm going to go off on them. It's kind of how it came across. But yes, if somebody could tell me how to block in case I can't find out, Because they say go to the channel, go to the three dots at the corner. I don't always see that. I guess maybe it depends what device, and I'm going to check that. But yes, if you see this, right, like, just move on, buddy. It's unfortunate you'd found another member that really related and liked your style, but I'm not going to be talked to like that. Sorry, dude. I'm not. Nobody, you know, you should be treating your viewers with kindness and not threatening them for really no good reason either. You know, um, threatening them, that is. Yeah. So, okay. Bye.